Hey everybody, time for an upgrade. I got the Cooler Master Masterliquid 240 here. We're going to be installing it on a Ryzen 7 video editing machine today. Looking forward to getting this project underway, so stay tuned. Okay, so what we've got today is we've got the Cooler Master Masterliquid 240. When I built my Ryzen machine, I used the Wraith Stealth that came in the package with the processor, and it's done fine, but with doing video editing, my intentions is to leave that processor cranked up all the time and not just periodically. So I want to make sure that I'm got adequate cooling on there for when I'm rendering out long videos. I don't end up overheating my processor or start over throttling. So what we got here is we got the Cooler Master Masterliquid 240. I did a lot of reviews on this, or not reviews, but did a lot of research and read a lot of people's reviews on these. And you know, it's a quiet unit. For the money, you can't beat it. And Cooler Master puts out great products. So it comes with a couple of balancing fans that this is a pull system. So the way this one's set up, it'll pull fresh air in through this radiator. This is a 240 millimeter radiator. These are two 120 millimeter fans. These fans will mount up onto this radiator here. Fans will mount on the inside, and then the radiator itself will mount to the front of our NZXT case that we have. And then on the other end, we have our water block and our pump system. And Cooler Master has a RGB version of this unit. I did not go with that. I really didn't need it. I've got some other things that I'm doing for RGB in this case. That'll be coming up in another video. But this logo on here does light up. It lights up white, so it looks very clean. Also, the cool thing about this one, it comes with these bracket ears already installed on here. So we've got a couple of thumb screws with some clamps that will mount right up to these brackets that came installed on our ASRock motherboard. So if you saw the video of me building my video editing PC, I had to remove these in order to put the stock cooler onto that unit. So make sure that if you ever use a stock, or you ever use the stock cooler that comes with your processor, make sure you hold on to these, because if you ever go back to a water cooling solution, you just may need these. So it's very important to hold on to those as well. So we've got a radiator, and then we've got our water block and our pump all here, and then we got a bag full of hardware, and then they got multiple options in here for either Intel or AMD bracket installs, but it looks like we've got what we need already here, and so we'll get out the fasteners that we need, and then we'll be able to install it onto our rig. So we'll get this assembled, and then we'll actually get the PC on the table, and then we'll start the installation of this onto the PC. We'll pull the stock cooler out of there, and then we'll install this liquid cooling solution. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to mount the fans up to this radiator here. So this bag here looks like we've got our fan screws, and they're these elongated thumb screws. They do have a screwdriver head on them, but I think if we just tighten those down with our thumbs, that'll hold it pretty well. And then these are the thumb screws that I was telling you about, and the kit comes with these ear brackets, and these ear brackets here, they will attach right underneath there, and then you can thumb screw this down, and it will actually mount right up on top of the CPU. And of course we'll put some thermal paste in there. We'll need to apply that. This block does not come with it pre-installed, but they do include some thermal paste in the kit, and I do have some here as well. So we'll get started on installing these fans, and as we put these fans in, you'll want to keep in mind what orientation you're going to have the hoses running out. And I want mine on the top, so all of my fan connections, I need to have them run out onto this side. That way I can fish them around into the back side of my case, back in the back side of the panel there for cable management. So we'll install these, and the easiest way to make sure you're installing them right, make sure you have the label facing into the actual radiator itself. So we'll just tighten these down here real quick, and it goes in pretty simple. I would recommend threading all of them in individually and then tightening them down. That way you make sure you got everything lined up. And this is the Masterliquid 240. This unit's been around for a while, and it's had really great reviews. I've saw some various tech guys do some reviews on these and compared these for sound and efficiency and those kind of things with equipment put out by Corsair and even by NZXT. You know, I really like the NZXT Kraken solutions, but it was just a little bit more than I wanted to spend. And also, from what I understand and all the information I read on the Krakens, they're actually a lot louder than this system here. So I'm not really interested in getting a lot of noise because I have this PC. It sits on top of my desk on my work surface here, and so I'm just running single monitor now, but eventually I'm needing to upgrade to probably go with dual monitors, and I need something a little bit bigger, but I'm managing to get through on there for right now. So all right, and then the only other thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and put these ears, get these started on here. Now you don't want to tighten this down all the way. You want to make sure that you have enough room to be able to move this around once you set it down on top of the water block. And I may even have to unscrew one of these out to, just depends on how much space I have to get my hands in there. My hands are rather large, so we'll see what we're able to do with that. And then we've got our 8 screws here that we will use to actually mount up the radiator into the case. So on the front of the NZXT S340, we'll pull off the front panel, and we'll pull off the screen there, the dust filter screen, and then we'll be able to marry this right up to the case. So I'm gonna get the case on the table here, and we'll get started with that, and we'll get that old cooler pulled off, the stock cooler, and we'll get the brackets reinstalled and get this installed there as well. Okay, so we got our case here. So what we want to do, we need to remove this front cover. You can pull it from the top or the bottom, but for me, I usually just reach right here at the bottom and just give it a little tug, and then it'll snap right loose. And then of course you can take that off and just set it over to the side somewhere. And then here's our dust filter screen. Just take that out and we'll lay that to the side. We won't need that right now. And so basically what we're going to do is our radiator will mount up from the inside here. So in other words, you know, we'll lay the case down, but it will install like this with our screws on that side, and then we'll be able to remove this existing stock cooler that's on there, and we'll be able to get everything switched over. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pull this back off real quick so it doesn't get scratched up or anything. These I really like this NZXT S340 case, but I wish I would have, I think it was about, I don't know, $30 more, and I could have gotten the Elite one. The Elite one comes with the tempered glass side panel, and so you can see a little bit better. But the thing about this S340, not the Elite one, but the regular S340, that window is a plexiglass window, and it doesn't take much at all for it to get scratched or get a blemish on it. And I just like my stuff to stay looking nice and pretty, and unfortunately it will get scratched up along the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to we're going to install our radiator right in here, and we've got 8 screws that we'll put in, and we'll just center that in. And then what we'll do, we will switch over and we'll change out the cooler and install the water block there. So let's grab our screwdriver here and we'll get started on this. Get my screws here. Now the thing that I enjoy, I left my screwdriver over here on my workbench. Let me grab that real quick, sorry. The thing that's pretty amazing about doing stuff with PCs is really anybody can do it. I know when I was a kid, I used to love to spend time with Legos and things like that, and so I've always had a really big interest in PC type stuff, anything electronics. So myself, I enjoy doing this kind of work, and it's just a lot of fun for me. It's probably, I would say it's more of a hobby than anything else, but I do enjoy it. I've been doing video editing for I guess about at least 5 years now, almost, I guess going on 6. I've produced a broadcast on our local television station here for almost 6 years, and basically I've self-taught myself most of what I've learned in video editing, and now thanks to YouTube, you know, we can all share information and how-to, which I think is just absolutely fantastic. Now, the cool thing about this installing this water cooling system, when it's a closed loop system like this, now this is not a custom loop. Custom loops are very expensive and they take a lot of time to build, and if you're not careful, you can have some serious problems. I'm sure some of y'all have seen some of the guys that have been really doing this stuff for a long time, and they've built some custom loop systems, and man, they are fantastic. But unfortunately, they can leak. Now this can leak as well, but it's important that you keep an eye on your system, whether you have a water cooled system or whether it's air cooled. Still, you need to go in there at least once a month and just do some maintenance on it to get you some canned air and go in and blow everything out. And because you'd be really surprised how quick dust can accumulate inside of these units, and dust can be the death of a PC. Trust me, I've seen a few go down that way. So, all right. So what we're going to do now, we're going to switch over and we're going to start taking this other cooler out and getting those ears reinstalled and get ready to install this water block. So I'll get the camera resituated so you guys can see that. Okay, so hopefully I got you guys a better view there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have to unhook our current cooler. Now this stock unit from AMD, it has RGB connection on it that plugged in over here on there's a RGB fan header on this motherboard, so I got to unhook that. And then also our CPU cooling fan connection is right here in this corner, so let me get that unplugged. There we go. And then now I just need to loosen up these 4 screws. Now, the thing to remember is when we pull this unit off, we're going to need to clean off the thermal paste that is applied in there currently. And so all you need to do to remove that is just I have some lint-free rags that I keep up here for some other things that I work on up here, and some just a bottle of isopropyl alcohol. You can buy that at any drugstore. It's, I don't know, maybe $1 or $2 at the most, maybe something like that. It's fairly inexpensive, and this thermal paste binds up pretty good. So you can see here, I'm gonna have to lift this case to get this this RGB cable out, but I'll go ahead and unplug it. But as you can see, you know, I had decent contact between here, but it looks like we had some air pocket there. But we want to make sure that we get sufficient coverage when we put this water block solution in. So we're going to make sure that we get good coverage in there. But it was bound pretty good, but ideally you'd want to have more coverage than what we had right here. I have run this before on some testing, so what came pre-installed on this unit had already been used. I had to clean that off. So I'll get some cleaner and we'll get this cleaned up, and then we'll get these ears installed, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next step. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get these brackets installed real quick. I had to slide the case off my table just a little bit here because this bracket that covers the back of the socket, it drops down when you take the screws out. So I needed to kind of get that started back, so I figured I would go ahead and install this, and then we'll get everything cleaned off, and then we'll be ready to do our install. And you want to make sure that you don't over tighten these. You just want them snug, because if you tighten them down too far, you can definitely damage your motherboard. Then that's always fun, having to pull everything out to replace the motherboard. So no need to have to replace it if there's nothing wrong with it, right? And let's check these other two screws here. Let's get this snug. Okay, all right, so we'll get this cleaned off, and then we'll get the new cooler installed. All right, so what we got here is just some just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on this lint-free rag, and you just want to kind of just slowly start to clean it off. It comes right off. I like to kind of clean it several times. I get most of the heavier off, and then I like to go back with a clean side of my rag. I keep one right here that I just keep using the same one. I find me another clean spot each time. Okay, nice and clean, and we'll let that dry for just a few moments, and then we will get us some thermal paste installed there, and then we'll be ready to install our water block, and then we'll do all of our wiring connections. Okay, so before we put our paste in there, let's just check our orientation on our water block. So my ears will want to fasten in this way, and my hoses will be able to turn this way, no problem. And then here is our cord for plug into our motherboard for our pump header. Well, it'll run the pump, and it'll be the measures temperature and all that good stuff. But we'll plug that into the fan header that's right here beside the processor, and this will give the pump all the power that it needs. And then these two separate fans, they have a splitter that comes with the case. I forgot to mention that earlier. It comes with this fan splitter here that will tie in to a port on the board here. So we'll be able to run both fans, plug that up, and then that way the system will be able to regulate speed and all on those fans. So all right, so let's get us some thermal paste here. And a lot of times you hear them talk about doing a grain of rice method. Now you can, some people do what they call the smoothing out smoothing out method. That should work pretty good for us right there. Hopefully that's not too much. By the time that block spreads out, it should cover it pretty well. And once that processor gets hot, that does get more fluidy, so it becomes into a more liquid state. All right, so here's the tricky part, being able to get my big hands in here and get this thing connected. There's one side. I call that success. And there's the other. Okay. And let's get these tightened down just a little bit. And what you want to do, I'm just taking the slack out of them right now, but you want to evenly tighten, evenly distribute the tension, and you don't want it to be so tight that it would damage anything, but you do want to apply even tension to each side as you put it in until it becomes tight where you can't, where it won't tighten up anymore. So you never want to put a wrench or anything like that on it. Okay, and that's great right there. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to plug. This is our plug for our pump here, so it'll get power for the LED light that's in here. And this is not RGB, but it is LED. So this will plug into our CPU header that's right here, and then we'll wire up our fans and we'll tie those in to the slot on there as well. So we'll go ahead and we'll install this. This plugs in. Okay, and then what I like to do is I like to tuck this back up behind this fan up top. That way it helps our cable management stay as clean as possible. Okay, so that'll get that. So water block's installed, radiator's installed. The only thing we got left to do, we need to tie these fans in. So we'll get the case up and we'll do that next, and then we'll be about done. We'll be ready to fire her back up and give her a test. Okay, so we got our case stood up right here. Let me spin this around so that we can see it here. All right, so we've got our splitter here, and then we've got both of our fan connections coming in here. So what we'll do is we'll plug both of these units into the splitter here, and then we will tie this, we'll route the splitter back into the case. So let me spin this back around here. I'm going to lean this over here. Sorry everybody, so I can see. My eyes are not what they used to be, that's for sure. There we go. All right, stand this back up, and then we'll pull our little bit of extra wire we had there. Now, all right, and so what we've got is this is our connection that we had coming in from the back side there. So now we'll be able to we can zip tie this in here, and that'll help keep us managed. We can tuck that in there in the back. So let me grab us a zip tie real quick. Can never have too many zip ties, that's for sure. It's just, can I get my big hand down in there? There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tie this back right here. Okay, so that'll take care of that cable management for us there, and I'll get me some snips and I'll snip that off, and then this right here will just, it'll tuck right in here and be right out of the way. So that's going to be it for that. So we'll get the covers back on, and then we'll give her fire up and make sure she works. So cover's going pretty easy, sometimes anyway. These, you know, I don't know if anybody else has ever had any issues with these, but these thumb screws on these S340 cases sometimes are just not the friendliest. And every person I've ever seen that's done a build or review using this case, everybody has to get the screwdrivers out in order to be able to unfasten those screws. So here in the front, we can see our radiator that's right there. Didn't mean to drop that. See our radiator that's installed there. So our dust filter will go right back on the front. The thing's nice about these, those are magnetized. So you can just pull that out and clean that, and then cover goes back on. One other thing I wish that they did on this case here, I wish you could see the red. You know, you only see it when you got the cover pulled off. Now on the Elite, you can see the red because it's a piece of tempered glass. But all in all, you know, for the price, I think I got this case for about $59. They had a $10 manufacturer. It was for $69.99, and then they had at Newegg when I ordered all my parts, and so I was able to save a little bit on that. And it all adds up in the end, doesn't it? All right, so we got it all in there. Everything's put back together, and my window got a little dirty there, but as you can see from the side, you can see the water block and the cooling lines coming across, and then here's our fans on this side. Now, like I was telling you earlier, they do have an RGB kit that you can get for this, and you can change. But you know, I got something else I'm going to be working on, probably coming up in the next video. I've got some stuff on order from NZXT to be able to go into this case. So hopefully that'll turn out pretty well. I got pretty excited about it. So, but we'll get this put back over on the work surface, and we'll fire up, and we'll see how she does. Okay, got everything plugged back up. Let me reach over right here and bam. All right, she's firing up, and that's what we want to see. As you can see, that Cooler Master logo, it lights up white, so I like that. I'll see if I can get you guys a couple of shots of this with most of the lighting off, so you kind of get an idea of the effect with it dark. So we'll give a shot at that, and see if I can give you guys a couple of great pics of that as well. Okay, so we're all finished up. I really like these water cooling solutions. They've come a long way in the last couple of years. I read some reviews where some people had some problems out of them, but it seems that you know, they've worked a lot of those bugs out. But water cooling is a great solution to be able to keep those temperatures down, especially if you're in an overclocking situation. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some great air coolers out there that'll do close to the same level as this, but you know, you can get some of those, you can get more fan noise off of those as well. So, and then also depends on the look you're going for in your case too. Some of those air coolers, they're pretty large. Of course, they dissipate the heat really well. but for the look that I was going for a nice, clean, simple look, and I think this this water cooler has really done that for us. So also keep in mind that there's some great manufacturers on water coolers that are out there today. Not only Cooler Master, but NZXT makes a great product, and Corsair does as well. So if you shop around, a lot of times you can find a really good deal on a solution for you. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video today. Be sure to throw me a like if you liked it, or a dislike if you didn't like it, and be sure to hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate that. And looking forward to getting our next set of videos out. So we got a lot of stuff coming, and I did get a package in the mail today from NZXT, so it'd be interesting to see what's in that box. So we'll be doing a video on that here very, very shortly. So hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time.